My wife told me her parents were gravely ill and needed someone to stay with them. Since I had an important meeting that morning, my daughter volunteered to go with her. I trusted them both completely. Why wouldn't I? They left quickly, and I stayed behind, confident my family was doing the right thing. But there was a restlessness I couldn't shake, so I decided to go there myself without telling anyone. When I entered the house quietly, I nearly passed out. What I saw wasn't care, and it wasn't concern. It was a cold, calculated deception involving the two people I loved most. And in that moment, I realized this wasn't just a lie. It was the beginning of the end of everything I believed in. Before we dive deeper into this story, hit subscribe and turn on the bell icon so you won't miss a single part. And drop a comment below. I want to know which city you're watching this from. The rain had started early that morning, a soft but steady drizzle blurring everything outside our windows. I sat at the kitchen table in our Oak Ridge drive home, watching the drops hit the glass. Laura moved through the kitchen with her usual calm. The smell of fresh coffee and omelets filled the air. Emily scrolled on her phone, occasionally letting out a small laugh at something on the screen. It was all normal, beautifully normal. "Dad, did you see the article about the waterfront development?" Emily looked up from her phone, her green eyes bright with interest. "They're saying it could bring thousands of new jobs." I nodded, sipping my coffee. "The firm is tracking the project. We might bid for the accounting contract." Laura placed a plate of toast in front of me, her hand brushing my shoulder lightly. "You have a big client meeting today, right? The tech startup one?" "Yes, Tech Vista. They want to expand. As they grow, they need someone to handle their books." I glanced at the clock. "Meeting's at 11. Should be straightforward." Emily quietly flipped her eggs onto her plate with a spoon. "I also have a project deadline at the marketing agency. My boss is impossible about timelines." But her words stopped when Laura's phone buzzed sharply. I saw my wife's face as she answered it. "Mom, what's wrong?" The change was immediate. Her color drained from her cheeks. Her hand froze on the counter, knuckles white. "When did it start? How high is the fever?" I didn't even realize I was standing. Emily put her phone down, worry etched across her face, mirroring her mother's. Okay, I'm coming now."
Laura's hand trembled as she hung up. When she looked at me, tears were welling in her eyes. "Daniel, Dad has a fever of 103, and Mom is having severe chest pain. She can barely breathe." My heart sank. Walter and Mildred were both in their late 60s. At this age, any serious illness could turn dangerous fast. "I'll go with you," I said, grabbing my keys. "No." Laura shook her head firmly. "Your Tech Vista meeting is important for your career. I'll go to Salem, check on them, and take them to the hospital if needed." "Laura, your parents are more important than any meeting." "I'm going with Mom." Emily stood up, tying her hair into a ponytail. "Nana and Grandpa need both of us. You handle your meeting, Dad. We've got this." I looked at my daughter, my smart, caring, beautiful daughter, and felt a wave of pride. Even in a crisis, she knew what truly mattered. Family. Always family. "Are you sure?" "We're sure." Laura grabbed her purse. "You worked hard for this, Daniel. Once we get there and see the situation, we'll call you." Emily picked up her jacket. "Don't worry, Dad. We'll take care of them." I hugged them both. Laura's lavender perfume, the one she'd used for 30 years, enveloped me. Emily squeezed my hand. "Call me as soon as you arrive," I said. "If anything happens during the meeting and they need the hospital, I'll get to Salem immediately." "We will." Laura kissed my cheek. "I love you." "I love you too, Dad." Emily moved toward the door. I stayed by the doorway until their car disappeared around the bend of the driveway. Laura's silver sedan, red taillights glowing, vanished into the rain and fog. The house felt strangely empty without them. I went back to the kitchen, poured another cup of coffee, and sat at the empty table. The eggs had gone cold. Emily's phone was still in its charger. Laura's reading glasses lay beside her half-solved crossword puzzle. I checked the calendar. Tech Vista meeting, 2 o'clock follow-up call, and weekend dinner with the Johnsons. Plans that might be canceled if Walter and Mildred's condition worsened. Still, something felt off. Nothing concrete, just a feeling. Maybe Laura had grabbed her purse a little too quickly. Maybe Emily had offered to go with unusual speed. Or maybe it was just fear, the ancient instinct warning you when your loved ones are in danger. I went to the living room, standing by the fireplace, looking at family photos. Our wedding photo, both of us impossibly young. Emily's college graduation, her smile shining. A vacation at Cannon Beach, the three of us laughing, wind blowing through our hair. 24 years of marriage. 24 years of building a life together. A daughter we raised with love. In-laws who welcomed me as family from day one. Everything I had was preserved in these pictures. So why this dark, sinking feeling?
I checked the time. 10:15. 45 minutes until the meeting. I should have left, reviewed the proposal again, but my heart wouldn't let me go. I opened Laura's number. My finger hovered over the call button. She wouldn't even be on the highway yet. Calling felt crazy. I put the phone down, then picked it up again. This was stupid. They were fine. I grabbed my jacket and keys. I'd stop at the florist for flowers, then the pharmacy for medicine, then straight to Salem. The meeting could wait. Family comes first. 20 minutes later, I was in the car. A bouquet of white lilies sat on the passenger seat. A pharmacy bag rested beside them. The rain had grown heavier. I didn't know where I was really headed. Toward the end of my marriage? Toward the collapse of my trust? Toward the unraveling of my 56-year life? In 2 hours, I would stand at Walter and Mildred's door, flowers in my hand, watching my world fall apart. But in that moment, driving through the rain, the radio played softly, and I was still believing a lie. 45 minutes into the drive, the wipers moved in rhythm with my thoughts. The highway stretched south. Gray scenery rushed past. My mind stayed on Walter and Mildred. They'd been part of my life for 24 years. Walter always called me son. Simple, kind people. Now facing serious illness at 80 and 78. Or at least, that's what I believed. I gripped the steering wheel tightly. I brought lilies, Mildred's favorite. Medicine, too. The pharmacist had looked at me with sympathy. As I took the Salem exit, the rain intensified. I drove familiar streets. Sycamore Street, 3 blocks. 847 Sycamore. A simple house. Cream-colored siding. Green shutters. Walter's pickup was in the driveway. The gate was open. That wasn't right. They always kept it closed. I parked past the house near the oak tree. Something inside told me, don't announce yourself. The lights were on. No ambulance. I grabbed the flowers and bag and walked through the rain. The path felt unusually long. Then I heard the TV. A game show host. Laughter. Applause. Sick people don't watch game shows. My heart began pounding. The door was slightly open. I stepped inside. Everything looked normal. Decorations, a jacket hanging, that familiar lavender scent. The TV was loud. Casual conversation drifted from the living room. I moved forward slowly, peered through the doorway, and the world tilted. Mildred sat on the couch, eating cookies, laughing, completely healthy. Walter sat in his recliner, reading the paper, a soft smile on his face. There was no illness. Laura had lied. There was no emergency. So why was she here? Laura's voice came from the kitchen. We need to move fast. We can't wait. Emily replied, I know, Mom, but we have to be careful. If he finds out first. He won't, Laura said.
Daniel trusts us completely. My feet felt rooted to the floor. They were talking about money. My money. With shaking hands, I turned on recording. I pressed against the wall and listened. "Did you transfer $3,000 this week?" Laura asked. "This morning," Emily replied. "Dad never checks the statements." "What's the total now?" $234,000. A few more months and it'll be enough. The number hit my chest like a punch. Nearly $250,000. "Won't he notice?" Emily laughed. "Dad's a financial advisor, too busy with clients to watch himself. Funny, isn't it?" "Do you ever feel guilty?" "No." He ignored our emotional needs. We deserve this. Each word cut like a blade. I remembered every birthday, every recital, every homework night.
24 years of effort. Was I really blind? Then a man's voice spoke. Everything set? My body froze. A stranger. "Almost done," Laura said. "Daniel doesn't suspect a thing." The man laughed, deep, confident. Perfect. My blood went cold. Who was he? Why was he here? And why was Laura so comfortable with him? "We should leave soon," the man said. "Can't risk him actually showing up." "He won't," Emily said. "He's at the Tech Vista meeting. He'll be there for hours." They planned everything. The timing, my schedule, so they could rob me? The man said something else, too quiet to hear. Laura laughed. That laugh, intimate, familiar, once meant only for me. I had to see him. I carefully moved toward the living room doorway, the phone still recording. The angle was awkward. I leaned against the frame, but the view was clear. A man sat on the couch, early 30s maybe, athletic build, expensive but simple clothes, the kind of confidence that comes from habit. He sat very close to Laura, his hand on the armrest, fingers brushing her arm. Laura didn't pull away. She was laughing, content. She's having an affair. The thought struck like a hammer. 24 years of marriage, and my wife with a man young enough to be her son. Then Emily entered from the kitchen, 2 coffee mugs in her hands. She handed one to Laura, one to the man. "Thanks, sweetheart," the man said. The word hung in the air. He stood, moved closer to Emily. His hand rested on her arm. Too long. Emily smiled, the same smile she gave her high school boyfriend when she thought I wasn't watching. Wait, my mind spun. Who was he with? Laura or Emily? He sat back down, this time between them. Laura on his left, Emily on his right. He talked to both, gesturing casually, but his body language toward Emily was different, more intimate. The way he looked at her, his hand brushed her shoulder, her hand, an excuse to touch her knee. And Laura, my wife, either didn't notice or didn't care. What was happening? My phone was still in my hand, recording. I switched to camera mode, silent. I started taking photos, zoomed in. The man's face, clear, recognizable. Click. Sitting beside Laura, his hand on her arm. Click. Leaning toward Emily, their heads nearly touching. Click. In the background, through the window, a car parked in the driveway. I hadn't noticed it before. A dark blue sedan. I zoomed in on the license plate. Oregon, HKR 2947. Click. I needed to know who this man was and what role he played in the plot destroying my life.
This wasn't just about money. This was bigger, darker, more calculated than simple theft. They were planning something beyond stealing cash, something that required months of preparation, something they believed I would never recover from. I sat in the car for 20 minutes. Rain hammered against the metal. I stared at the stranger's face on my phone screen. My wife, my daughter, a man I had never seen, and a conspiracy darker than I could imagine. I drove home in a numb haze. When I opened my laptop and checked the bank accounts, my worst fears were confirmed. The highway stretched endlessly behind me. The rain had stopped. Wet pavement reflected the gray sky. I didn't remember the drive. My hands were on the wheel, my feet on the pedals, but my mind was somewhere else. Laura's laugh, Emily's cold voice, the stranger's confident smile. $234,000. At 3 o'clock, I pulled into my driveway. The house looked peaceful, ordinary. Nothing had changed outside. Everything had changed inside. I opened the door and stepped into silence. No one was home. Just empty rooms holding secrets I had been too blind to see. I went straight to my office, closed the door, sat at my desk. My laptop waited. I stared at it for a long moment. Please let this be wrong, but I knew it wasn't. I logged into our joint checking account, the one Laura and I had shared for 24 years. I set the date range to 18 months and clicked search. The screen loaded. There it was. Every week, like clockwork, electronic transfer, $3,000. One Tuesday, the next Thursday, but always there. Destination, investment account, Cayman Islands. I had never approved an account in the Cayman Islands. I did the math, even though I knew the answer. 3,000 times 4 weeks times 18 months. $216,000. Then I dug deeper, found anomalies, larger transfers scattered through the records. 5,000 here, 8,000 there, another 3,000. Total, $234,000. Exactly what Emily had said. My chest tightened. I stood and walked to the window. Outside, water dripped from the trees. A neighbor walked his dog. Normal life continued, while mine was ending.
I earned that money working 60-hour weeks, skipping vacations, missing dance recitals because of client deadlines. I told myself it was worth it. I was providing for my family. For what? To fund my own destruction. Dad is so busy with clients he never checks his own accounts. Emily was right. She had studied me, understood my blind spots, and used them. My phone buzzed. A text from Laura. How was the meeting? Hope it went well. Love you. Love you. I stared at the words until they lost all meaning. Then the phone rang. Laura was calling. Her contact photo stared back at me. Cannon Beach last summer. Sunset behind us. She had told me how lucky she felt. She couldn't know that I knew. Not yet. Not until everything was ready. The phone rang once. Twice. 3 times. My finger hovered over the answer button. I couldn't. Not yet. Not before understanding everything. Not before making a plan. I let it go to voicemail. Guilt twisted inside me. 24 years as a husband, the man who always answered, who was always there. But that husband was a fool. That husband trusted while they robbed him. I couldn't be that husband anymore. Another buzz. Voicemail notification. I didn't listen. Instead, I grabbed my keys, my laptop, printed bank statements. 30 minutes to Benjamin's office. I needed to move. As I locked the front door, my phone rang again. Laura. Everything okay? You didn't answer. With steady hands, I typed. Sorry, in the car. Meeting ran long. Heading to another client. Talk tonight. Love you. The lie came easily. I got into the car and drove toward downtown Portland, toward Benjamin's office, toward whatever came next. Behind me, the house stood empty, holding secrets I had been too blind to see. But I wasn't blind anymore. Benjamin listened to the recording in complete silence. When it ended, he looked at me with a mix of sympathy and cold anger. His office was on the 20th floor of a downtown Portland high-rise. Glass walls overlooked the city. Lights flickered on as evening approached. Modern furniture, law books lining one wall. A desk probably worth more than most cars. I had driven here in a numb daze. The recording burned on my phone like evidence of a crime I still couldn't fully accept. As promised, Benjamin had cleared his schedule. Now he sat across from me, his expression darkening with every word. Laura's voice played.
Did you transfer the $3,000 this week? Yes, Mom, this morning. 5 minutes of my family calmly discussing how they stole from me. When the recording ended, silence filled the office. Daniel, Benjamin said. His voice was controlled and professional, but the anger beneath it was clear. This is fraud, embezzlement, conspiracy. This isn't just a bad marriage. This is criminal. I showed him the photos next. The man on my phone screen, sitting comfortably between my wife and daughter. We need to identify him, Benjamin said immediately. I recommend a private investigator, Beverly Quinn, best in Portland. Whatever it takes, I said. He nodded, making notes. Here's what we do. You do not confront them. Not yet. We build an airtight case, financial records first, surveillance, proof of every transaction. If you confront them now, they'll destroy evidence. They'll lawyer up. We lose our advantage. So I pretend everything is normal? Exactly. He met my eyes. I know it's hard, but we strike when we're ready, not before. The drive home felt long. I checked the time. Philip would arrive at 8:30 with the financial records. By the time I pulled into the driveway, darkness had fully settled. I sat in the car for a moment, gathered myself, then went inside. Philip arrived right on time. In my home office, he spread documents across the desk, a thick stack, 3 years of my financial life. Daniel, you need to see this, he said. His voice was grave. He showed me the first document, a mortgage on our house, $120,000, dated 1 year ago. I never took out a mortgage, I said. Someone did. Look at the signatures. I looked closely. They were supposed to be mine, but the handwriting was slightly off. Close, but not right. These aren't my signatures. I thought so too, Philip said. He pulled out another document. And this is your life insurance policy. The beneficiary was changed 6 months ago. I stared at the paper. Where Laura's name should have been, Emily's name appeared instead. I never made this change. Someone did. Someone with access to your personal information, your signatures, your accounts. My hands went cold. They're planning something worse than theft. It looks that way, Philip said, his face serious. I'll have a full analysis by the weekend, but Daniel, you need to be extremely careful. The sound of the front door opening froze us both. Dad, we're home! Emily's voice, bright and happy, echoed through the house. I looked at Philip. He was quickly gathering documents, shoving them into a briefcase. Act normal, he whispered. I'll slip out the back. I took a breath, forced a smile onto my face, and stepped out of the office. Emily was standing in the hall, her face lit with genuine happiness. She stepped forward and hugged me. Grandma and Grandpa are so much better now. I hugged back, feeling my heart break. That's wonderful, sweetheart. Laura appeared behind her, tired but smiling. She kissed me on the cheek. Thanks for understanding, so I could get out quickly. Of course. I'm glad they're okay. The lies came easily now. I'll order pizza. It's late for dinner. Perfect. Laura squeezed my hand. I'm exhausted. 20 minutes later, we were sitting at the kitchen table, the pizza boxes open. A normal family having a normal dinner. Emily talked about stress at work. Laura said she would visit her parents next week. I nodded, smiled, asked questions, played the worried dad and devoted husband perfectly. Inside, I was dying. Every word from Emily I had already heard in the recordings. Dad never checks the accounts.
Funny, right? When Laura touched my hand, I felt the stranger's hand on her arm in the parents' living room. But I smiled. I laughed at Emily's jokes. I kissed Laura's forehead as she teased about going to bed and said goodnight. "I'll be up soon," I told her. "Just need to finish some emails." She went upstairs. Emily soon followed, calling goodnight from her room. I sat alone in the kitchen, surrounded by empty pizza boxes and the wreckage of my life. Later, I lay beside Laura in bed, listening to her peaceful breathing. She slept easily, without guilt. I stared at the ceiling until morning. The next week, I became an actor in my own life. Every smile rehearsed. Every "I love you" tasted like ashes.
Friday morning, day 1. I sat across from Beverly Quinn in her office on Portland's east side. Simple space, filing cabinets along the walls, computer screens monitoring other cases. Professional, efficient, exactly what I needed. Beverly was in her 50s, sharp-eyed with a presence that made you feel she could see everything you tried to hide. "Tell me everything," she said. I showed her the photos, recordings, license plate HKR 2947. She studied everything carefully, taking notes. "I'll find out who they are, where they go, who they're really with. I need it all, no matter how painful." "Answers in a week," she said, looking me straight in the eyes. "But Daniel, be ready. The truth is rarely kind." I already knew. The drive home felt surreal. I would perform normal all week while a stranger investigated my family's betrayal. The torment started that weekend. Saturday morning, I made breakfast. Laura came downstairs in a robe, kissed my cheek, said the eggs were perfect. I smiled, but the taste of lies lingered. Emily joined us, bright and happy. "Dad, this is amazing. You're the best." "Anything for my girls." The words came automatically, hollow. At work, I couldn't focus. Clients asked questions. I had to repeat myself. Numbers blurred on spreadsheets. My assistant knocked on the door Tuesday afternoon. "Mr. Harper, are you okay? You look troubled." "Just a lot on my mind. I'm fine." But I wasn't. Every evening, family dinners. Laura talked about her day, meeting friends, work, helping her parents, maybe all lies. Emily shared excitement about work projects. "The new campaign launches next week, Dad. Looks like a big one." "That's wonderful, sweetheart. You worked hard." I wanted to scream, flip the table, demand the truth. Instead, I smiled and asked follow-up questions like a good father. By Wednesday, Laura noticed. "Honey, you look tired. Everything okay?" "Busy season, you know how it is." "Maybe a day off?" "I'll take one soon." Another pile of lies. Nights were the worst. Lying in the dark beside Laura, listening to her peaceful breathing. She slept without guilt. I stared at the ceiling until morning.
I pressed the brake pedal. Nothing. The pedal went straight to the floor, no resistance. I jerked the wheel to the right. The car slid across lanes. Tires screamed. A horn blared. A truck passed inches from me. I pulled the emergency brake, gripping it tight. The car fishtailed, but finally began to slow. I guided it toward the shoulder, fighting for control. Gravel cracked beneath the tires. The car jolted, bounced, and stopped. I sat there, hands locked on the wheel, heart hammering. A tap on the window startled me. "Sir, are you okay?" A man in a rain jacket, worried face pressed to the glass. I nodded, couldn't speak. "You're okay? That was close." "The brakes failed." My voice distant. "Tow truck needed." Shaking hands, I called the tow. 30 minutes later, my car was loaded onto a flatbed. At the shop, the mechanic checked the brake lines. "Mr. Harper, your brake lines were cut deliberately." I stared at the photos. Clean cuts, intentional. "This is sabotage, sir. You should report it to the police." An officer arrived within an hour, took statements, photographed the brake lines, and filed a report. I thought about Emily, Beverly's findings, the brake tampering from 3 weeks ago now revealed. No, I lied. Be careful, Mr. Harper. Whoever did this wanted you in an accident. Back home, I sat in an Uber, entered through the front door. Laura and Emily were on the couch watching TV. Emily jumped up immediately. "Dad, we heard about the car. Are you okay?" I froze, looking at her over my shoulder. "What happened?" Laura stood, worried. "Brakes failed. Just shaken up." "Oh my God, Daniel!" Laura's hand over her mouth. "You could have died." "Dad, that's terrifying." Emily's eyes were wide. "You could have died."
I looked into her eyes. I know, sweetheart. Behind those eyes, what was she really thinking? Hoping I wouldn't come home today? Waiting for the police to call and say I was dead? "I'm just glad you're safe," Laura said, hugging me. "That's what matters." I returned the hug mechanically. Safe? I wasn't safe. Not in this house. Not with these people. We ate a late dinner. They kept asking questions, showing concern at the right moments. I watched Emily carefully, every expression, every word, looking for cracks in the performance. She was good, too good. That night, I lay in bed staring at the ceiling. Laura slept peacefully beside me. The house felt frozen around us. Every sound made me flinch. Here, the person who tried to kill me was sleeping comfortably. At 2 a.m., I couldn't take it anymore. I grabbed my phone and went to the bathroom. I called Beverly. "Daniel, we need to move fast before she tries again." 3 days later, Beverly's call made everything clear. Saturday morning, day 13, I sat across from Beverly in a quiet coffee shop. We sat apart. A thick folder lay open between us. "Evan Cross, here's what I found." I opened it. Driver's license photo, confident smile, eyes that looked at my daughter with calculated interest. 32 years old, personal trainer, annual salary $45,000, apartment rent $2,800 a month. "Most of his income goes to rent," I said. "Exactly," Beverly replied, "but look at what he drives. A Mercedes, $65,000. Designer clothes, expensive watches. That's not a $45,000 lifestyle." "So where's the money coming from?" "Emily." She showed surveillance photos, Evan and Emily at restaurants, kissing, entering his apartment. Then photos of Evan and Laura. Casual conversations, completely different body language. Emily thinks Evan loves her. Laura thinks the same, but Evan only loves money. The words fell on me like ice. Philip called. 8 months ago, $50,000 transferred from your investment account. Memo reads, investment, Evan's gym startup. What gym? No gym, no business registration. Nothing. The money went straight into Evan's personal account. $50,000 gone for a business that didn't exist. "And the life insurance?" I asked. $1 million. Beneficiary changed from Laura to Emily 6 months ago. The signature is supposed to be yours. My blood ran cold. The brake lines, the failed attempt, and Emily receiving $1 million. Wednesday evening, I came home early. I told Laura I had a headache and was going upstairs. I didn't go to the bedroom. I went to the office and closed the door quietly. Emily was on the phone. I stood in the hallway just outside the door. "When Mom thinks you're her boyfriend, Evan, let her," Emily said. "We need her cooperation." "But what about Dad?" "Be patient. The first attempt didn't work. But there are other ways." I stood frozen. Every word felt like a knife. They were planning my death, my daughter and her boyfriend. Laura was just a pawn.
I backed away quietly, down the stairs, into the office. I locked the door. I sat at the desk, head in my hands. 24 years of marriage, a daughter I loved, and this was my reality? I picked up the phone and called Benjamin. We need to move fast. They're planning a second attempt. Benjamin's voice was calm and controlled. Tomorrow, we accelerate everything. 2 days later, on a quiet Sunday morning, the second attempt came. More direct, almost successful. I sat in the living room, newspaper in my lap, pretending everything was normal. Footsteps on the stairs. Emily came down, changed clothes, smiling brightly. "Good morning, Dad. Want some coffee?" I looked up from the paper. My favorite caramel latte, extra espresso shot. I took a sip. The taste was normal. I didn't show fear. I didn't let her suspect anything. 9:45 a.m. "Dad!" Emily's voice came from across the room. My heart raced. The room spun. "I don't feel right," I said. I collapsed, hitting my shoulder. No breath, chest tightening, vision blurring. Laura's footsteps rushed in. Emily's face appeared above me. "Call 911, Emily said, her voice panicked. Laura's voice followed. "My husband collapsed. He's having trouble breathing." Fluorescent lights, beeping machines, the antiseptic smell of the hospital. I opened my eyes slowly. The doctor spoke. "You had a severe reaction." Laura and Emily came in. Laura was crying. Emily held my hand. Her fingers were cold. "Dad, you need to be careful," she said. I looked into her eyes. Perfect concern, perfect performance, and beneath it, disappointment. She had hoped I would die today. That night, after Laura and Emily went home, I called Beverly from the hospital bathroom. "She tried again," I said. "Something in the coffee. I barely survived." Beverly replied, calm and firm. "Now we end this. 24-hour protection, 1 week to prepare everything. Next Sunday, we finish it."
Benjamin called it the end game. I called it justice. Whatever it was, we had 1 week to prepare for the moment that would change everything. Wednesday morning, day 23. I was sitting in Benjamin's conference room, surrounded by proof of my own family's betrayal. Benjamin, Beverly, and Philip were all there. Documents, photos, and printed transcripts were spread across the table between us. "Let's review what we have," Benjamin said, organizing the materials into neat piles. First, audio recordings. A 5-minute recording, Laura and Emily's calm conversation about how they had siphoned money from me. The voices were clear, undeniable, devastating. Next, Beverly's surveillance photos. Evan kissing Emily, holding her hand, entering her apartment. Then Evan with Laura in coffee shops, talking, keeping careful distance. Everything calculated. Then Philip's financial analysis. He had compiled everything into a comprehensive report. $234,000 stolen via wire transfers in 18 months, $120,000 through a fake mortgage, $50,000 in a gym investment that doesn't even exist. He paused and looked at me. Total, $404,000. The number hung in the air like a weight. Philip continued. Life insurance policy, $1 million. Beneficiary changed from Laura to Emily 6 months ago. Your signature should be on it, but it's forged. Beverly added her report. Break-in sabotage. Mechanics report shows deliberate tampering. Hospital records confirm sedative overdose. Benjamin tapped his finger on the table. This is enough for criminal prosecution, fraud, embezzlement, and conspiracy to cause serious bodily harm. The case is solid. What about Evan? I asked. Beverly's expression changed. I'm digging deeper, something big. 2 more days. We don't have 2 days. Sunday. I know, she said, looking me in the eye. Everything will be ready by Sunday. Promise. We moved on to security. I've arranged 24-hour protection,
Beverly said. "Derek, ex-military. He'll be nearby, armed, trained, permanent presence." My everyday life had changed. I no longer ate anything Laura or Emily prepared. Every meal was from outside, sealed containers I opened myself. Bedroom locked at night. Car fully checked each morning before starting. Tuesday evening, Laura noticed. "Honey, you're acting strange. Everything okay?" I forced a smile. "Just work stress." She accepted it, but there was something in her eyes. Worry or suspicion, it was hard to tell now. Friday evening, day 26. The three of us sat at the dinner table. I placed chopsticks down. "Family dinner at home Sunday night." Laura brightened. "What's the occasion?" "An important announcement about our future." Emily's eyes narrowed slightly. "And invite Evan, too," I said calmly. "I want to meet him officially." For a moment, his face changed. Fear quickly masked. "Why?" "Your mother says he's been helpful. I want to thank him." Saturday, day 27. Final preparations. Benjamin's message: "Police standby. Cameras live." Beverly installed hidden cameras. "Everything will be recorded, audio and video. Court ready." Sunday morning came with a clear sky. I stood in the kitchen, watching the sunrise over the city. By sunset, everything would change. 6 p.m. The doorbell rang. Evan walked in, polished, confident, charming. I extended my hand. "Daniel." "Evan." "Pleasure, sir." The four of us sat at the dinner table, hands folded. Amen. The silence was heavy. Laura began to speak, but I put down my fork. The sound echoed in the room. I looked at everyone. "Before we move forward, there's one thing we all need to discuss." Emily turned pale. Evan froze. "We need to talk about the $234,000 stolen from me." The words hung in the air like thunder.
Silence fell over the dining table. Laura's fork clinked against her plate and she jumped. "What? Daniel, who are you talking about?" I kept my voice calm and cold. "Weekly wire transfers, $3,000 every week for a full 18 months into an offshore account in the Cayman Islands." "Dad, I didn't." Emily started to speak, but I stopped her immediately. "No more lies, Emily, not now." Laura's face went pale. She stammered. "There must be some mistake." I said, "No mistake." I retrieved a folder I'd hidden by the chair and set it on the table. "Every transaction is documented." I opened the folder and spread bank statements across the table. Every transfer was highlighted in yellow. Dates, amounts, destinations, all clear in black and white. I pushed the folder toward Laura. She trembled as she looked at the pages, her fingers shaking over the paper. I can explain," she said. I answered in a cold tone. "I don't want explanations. I want the truth." Laura opened her mouth, then closed it. Words failed her. I pulled out my phone. "Let's play something for everyone." "Daniel, don't!" Laura's voice broke. I pressed play. Her own voice filled the speaker. "Did you transfer $3,000 this week?" Emily's voice. "Yes, Mom. Did it this morning. Dad never checks the statements." Then the question. "What's the total?" The answer. $234,000. The recording played for 2 minutes as my wife and daughter calmly discussed how they had taken money from me. Every word was clear, every admission devastating. Laura covered her face with her hands, tears falling. Emily sat rigid in her chair, face drained of color. Evan remained completely still, as if silently calculating everything with his eyes.
When the recording ended, I set the phone on the table. "This was recorded at your parents' house 3 weeks ago." Laura looked at me in shock. "You were there?" I said, "Your parents weren't sick, never were. You lied so you could meet Emily and plan all of this. I heard everything, saw everything." "Daniel, I'm so sorry." Laura's voice shook.
Sorry for what? I asked. Stealing from me or getting caught? She flinched as if I had slapped her. I was alone, she stammered. You were never home, always working, always clients. So you stole from me. Is that your excuse? I said, Emily said we deserved it, that you wouldn't even notice the money disappearing. I turned to Emily. You said that. My daughter opened her mouth, but no sound came. Dad, let me explain. No more lies, I said. I pulled out more documents. House mortgage, $120,000 1 year ago. I slid the papers toward Laura. Look at the signatures. She saw them and her face went even whiter. These aren't my signatures, I said slowly. They're forged. Someone took a loan against our house in my name. Then I placed another document, a fake gym investment, $50,000 in a business that didn't even exist. Laura looked at the papers as if they were written in a foreign language. $404,000, all gone. I didn't know about those, she said, sobbing. Daniel, I swear, I only knew about the weekly transfers. I said in a cold tone, you knew enough. You knew you were stealing from me. You knew you were lying to me every day. She buried her face in her hands, shoulders shaking. Emily sat motionless, struggling to breathe. Evan watched everything like an impartial observer. I let the silence stretch so they could sit with what they had done. Then I spoke again. But this isn't even the worst part, Laura. She lifted her head, tears streaming. What do you mean? The worst part, I said, is what you don't know. I looked first at Emily, then Evan, then Laura. Tell the truth, Emily, about Evan. Emily's face drained completely of color. She looked sick. Evan's jaw tightened, and his hand twitched slightly under the table. Laura looked between them, confusion replacing grief. About Evan? He's helping us? Helping my parents? She asked, voice trembling. Or using us, I said. I don't understand, she whispered. I replied, I think you understand. Deep down, somewhere, you know something isn't right.
I looked at Laura, who had believed Evan was a sympathetic friend, and said, Evan was using you, Laura. He took advantage of your loneliness so you'd keep helping him, while the real plan was his and Emily's. Laura looked at Emily, eyes wide. You betrayed me? Your mother? Emily was crying, but Laura yanked her hand away. Don't touch me, I said softly. One last lie remains. Then I looked at Evan. Tell them, Evan, about your real life. Evan's face went pale. His confidence was shattered. I looked toward the door. You may come in now. The door opened, and a young woman walked in, carrying a small boy. She wore a nurse's uniform, exhausted but deeply worried. The boy, about 5, clutched a teddy bear and looked terrified. The room went completely silent. Evan's chair tipped back. No, no, he whispered. The woman said, Evan, what is happening? You said it was a client meeting. I said calmly, Everyone, this is Megan Cross, and this is Noah, Evan's wife, and their 5-year-old son. Emily screamed, Wife? Son? You said you were single. You said you never married. Laura's hand went to her mouth. Oh, God. Megan pulled Noah close, tears in her eyes. Evan, who are these people? Why is she calling you? Evan raised his hands. Megan, I can explain. Emily yelled, Your child! You have a child! I looked gently at Noah. Noah, want to eat cookies in the kitchen? Watch cartoons on the iPad? I took him to the kitchen, seated him, and turned on a cartoon. He smiled, unconsciously removed from the chaos.
When I returned, I said, Megan lives in Vancouver, Washington. She's a nurse. She's been married to Evan for 7 years. Evan was living a double life, during the week with her, on weekends here with Emily, all funded by the money you stole. Cars, school fees, our house, everything. Megan broke down crying. Noah's tuition? Our home?
All stolen money? Emily stepped toward Evan. You told me you loved me. You said we'd marry. You lied. Evan stayed silent. Megan said, He said the same to me, on our wedding day. Emily sank to the floor. Everything had been a lie. I picked up my phone. Detective Warren, come in now. The police entered. Emily Harper and Evan Cross, you are under arrest for fraud, embezzlement, and conspiracy to commit murder. Emily screamed, Daddy, please, I'm your daughter. I turned away. I couldn't watch. The sound of handcuffs echoed. Laura sobbed uncontrollably. Megan held Noah and wept. Noah asked, Mommy, why are they taking Daddy? The police led them away. Red and blue lights danced across the walls. Justice had been served, but the cost was enormous. My entire family. The trial took place. No deals were made. The full truth came out. Evan received 12 years. Emily got 8. Laura got probation and community service. A year later, I sold the house, bought a small apartment, worked part-time, taught free classes on preventing family fraud, and mentored young people. I visited Emily in prison. I said, I forgive you, not for you, for my own peace. She cried, and I left. Today, I am okay. There are wounds, but I stand. And if you were ever betrayed by those closest to you, remember this, you can survive. Trust, but verify. Love, but protect yourself. Thank you for watching. If this story moved you, make sure to subscribe, like, and comment below. Stay alert, protect yourself, and always seek the truth.